Verse 69. All things existent are unborn, empty, and without self-substance, and the delusion about them rises and ceases in accordance with conditions, which are apparently existent. They're unborn. They don't have a beginning in time. There is nothing which gave rise to them. They do not have an individual identity. In this way they're empty. Because not having an individual identity, not having been born, they're like objects in a dream. In a dream there are lots of different objects. There are mountains, houses, people, animals, everyday objects, but they're empty. They have no intrinsic reality. They're without self-substance. Now, not having self-substance, this is an important one to appreciate, because the scientific understanding is that what we're experiencing is a model of reality which cannot be known. So science is telling us that there's a deeper reality here, which can only be appreciated indirectly. And this way of understanding is good from the point of view of disinvesting in our belief in the reality of apparent objects. But the flip side of this is that science is telling us that we can never know reality directly, because the substance of it is always something else. But spiritually, we can dismiss this, because there is no intrinsic substance. There is no other reality. There's simply another way of describing things. Another relative reality, another constructed reality. So what we normally take as ordinary reality, as everyday reality, is actually no different than dream reality. They're both embedded in consciousness, but we get caught up in a delusion to the contrary. You find it difficult to let go, even when you're in a dream and you suspect you are in a dream. It's very difficult because of the power of consciousness telling you that this is real. Whatever consciousness experiences, it takes to be real. This is the power of Maya. And this delusion rises and ceases in accordance with conditions. What are these conditions? Practically speaking, we can take these conditions as our moods. According to what mood we're in, reality takes a particular hue. We're caught up in it. We're caught up in this delusion. Our delusions about reality to a greater or lesser extent. As spiritual practitioners, we're working with this. We're being aware of this. We're being aware of how our mood colours reality. We're being aware of how we give substance to what's going on in the apparent out there. Perhaps we get caught up in the urge to acquire, the desire for wealth. Perhaps we're caught up in some kind of fetish, a sexual fetish, believing that something out there is going to give us satisfaction. Or perhaps we're simply caught up in fears and anxieties and worries. So these are all examples of conditions which can prompt us to believe that reality is other than it is. Verse 70 tells us, depending upon the mind. This is mind with a capital M. There appears within a mind and without a world of individual objects. This and no other is an external world, which is imagined by the ignorant. So mind here with a capital M is consciousness. It's the power of consciousness. Consciousness is the sole reality, and it gives reality to all its aspects. And so there appears this mind within, this is the individual, and without a world of external objects. And believing in the reality of that apparent external world is spiritual ignorance. And how do we deal with this? How do we work with this? Verse 71 tells us, this heap of bones, the Buddha image, the analysis of the elements, these are subjects of meditation. By means of mental images, good students handle the various aspects of the world. Well, this is when we can put into practice the spiritual teachings, particular techniques, whatever helps. A few examples are mentioned here. This heap of bones. If we're attached to the body, our body image and so on, we can help loosen that attachment by considering from a conventional perspective that it's nothing more than a heap of bones. The Buddha image is a reminder of enlightenment, of where we should be directing our attention. The analysis of the elements. So the analysis of the elements is to do with undermining our attachment to an external world. So by means of mental images, good students handle the various aspects of the world. We turn our mental landscape into reminders of enlightenment. There's a whole school of Mahayana Buddhism concerned with this. We populate our inner world, our emotional world, with Buddhas and Buddha lands. But however we go about it, we have to work. We have to work on our own personal psychology. We have to work with our moods. We do whatever we can to return to transcendental insight. It's a massive and consistent effort that is required. Constant self-remembering.